Captain Li Wan stared at the massive structure floating in space ahead of them. The apex looked like a giant ring made of twisted metal and strange crystals, glowing with colors that hurt to look at directly.
Ow.
3 human ships approached it. Slowly, the colony ship New Busan, carrying 50,000 sleeping colonists. The transport Inshin, full of families moving to new worlds. And the smaller vessel Daegu, packed with teachers and doctors. "It's beautiful," whispered Communications Officer Park Mina from her station. Hard to believe something natural could look like that. Li Huan nodded, but kept his eyes on the scanner readings. The apex was the galaxy's most important hyperspace junction. Every major trade route passed through it. For thousands of years, alien civilizations had used it to travel between distant star systems. Now, humanity wanted to use it too. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple contacts," reported scanner operator Kim Tae-ho. "Looks like alien ships. Big ones." Li Huan felt his stomach tighten. Earth's diplomats had been trying to contact the Confederation of Advanced Species for months. Every message had been ignored. Every attempt at peaceful communication had been met with silence. But this was supposed to be neutral space. The apex belonged to everyone, according to galactic law. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let's try to talk to them." Park Mina worked at her console for several minutes. "I'm getting something, sir. It's not in any language I recognize, but the computer is trying to translate." The main screen flickered, then displayed text in harsh, angular letters. Slowly, words appeared in Korean below the alien script. "Primitive species detected. Apex transit forbidden. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." Li Wan took a deep breath. He'd expected this might happen. Earth Command had prepared him for this possibility. "Send our standard diplomatic response. Tell them we're peaceful civilian vessels conducting lawful passage through neutral space. Remind them that we're carrying families and children." Park Mina's fingers flew over her keyboard. The message went out in 12 different languages, including the mathematical symbols that Earth's scientists believed any advanced civilization would understand. They waited. The response came not as words, but as action. Warning alarms screamed throughout the bridge as the first energy blast struck their shields. Li Wan was thrown from his chair as the ship shuddered under the impact. "Emergency lights bathed everything in red. Shields down to 60%, shouted Kim Tae-ho. "They're targeting our engines." Through the view screen, Li Wan could see the alien ships. They were sleek and deadly, shaped like silver tears with weapons that glowed like small suns. There were dozens of them, surrounding the 3 human vessels like wolves circling wounded. "Prey. All hands. Battle stations," Li Huan ordered, pulling himself back into his captain's chair. "Engineering. Give me everything you've got. Communications. Send a distress signal to Earth." But even as he gave the orders, Li Wan knew they were doomed. The New Busan was a colony ship, designed to carry people and supplies across the galaxy, not to fight wars. Her weapons were meant to clear asteroids and defend against pirates, not to battle advanced alien warships. Another blast hit them, and this time Li Huan felt the ship's bones breaking. The lights went out for a moment, then flickered back on. In that brief darkness, he heard something that chilled his blood, the sound of metal tearing apart. "Captain?" Park Mina's voice was high with panic. "Inshin is breaking up. They're gone." Li Huan watched in horror as the transport ship, which had been carrying 5,000 families to their new homes, came apart like a toy hit by a hammer. Debris scattered across space, and he knew that somewhere in that cloud of wreckage were children who would never see their new world. "The Daegu is trying to run," Kim Tae-ho reported, "but they're too slow. The aliens are herding them back toward us." Li Wan could see it happening on his tactical display. The smaller ship, loaded with teachers and medical personnel who had volunteered to help humanity's expansion into space, was being surrounded. Their captain was brave, trying to draw the alien ships away from the colony vessel, but it was hopeless. The Daegu died in a flash of light that briefly outshone nearby stars. 15,000 people, Park Mina whispered. Just like that. Another impact shook the New Busan. This time Li Wan could hear air rushing out somewhere in the ship's hull. Emergency bulkheads were sealing automatically, but he knew they were running out of time. "Captain, I'm reading massive damage to our hyperspace drive, reported Kim Tae-ho. We can't jump out of here. Lee-Wan looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were young, most of them. Park Mina was barely 25. Kim Tae-ho had just gotten married before this mission. They had joined the Merchant Marine to see the galaxy, to be part of humanity's great adventure among the stars. Now they were going to die because they had tried to use a space highway. Send one final message to Earth, Lee-Wan said quietly. Tell them what happened here. Tell them we were just trying to go home. The alien ships closed in for the final attack. In the cargo holds below, 50,000 colonists slept peacefully in their cryopods, dreaming of the new world they would never see. Director Choi Soo-jin stood in the center of Earth's main command room, watching the holographic display that showed the wreckage floating near the apex. The twisted metal and scattered debris had once been 3 ships carrying 65,000 human beings to their new homes among the stars. Show me the survivor again, she said quietly. The image changed to show Commander Kim Tae-ho's small escort ship. The Soul, it was badly damaged, with holes in its hull and one engine completely destroyed. Somehow, Kim Tae-ho had managed to get his ship away from the alien attack and jump back to human space. He was the only witness to what had happened. Ma'am, we have the full report now, said Lieutenant Park Ji-won, handing her a datapad. Commander Kim recorded everything. Aliens didn't even try to communicate properly. It just ordered us to leave, then started shooting when we tried to explain we were civilians. Choi Soo-jin read through the report carefully. Names it. Faces of the dead scrolled past her eyes. Lee-Wan, the colony ship captain, who had tried to reason with the aliens until the very end. Park Mina, the young communications officer who had volunteered for the mission to see new worlds. Thousands of families who had sold everything they owned to buy passage to the colonies. Have you contacted the families yet? She asked. We're still working on it, ma'am. There are so many. Some whole families were on those ships. Grandparents, parents, children, even babies. Entire bloodlines wiped out in a few minutes. Choi Soo-jin closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, her face was like stone. Send a message to all human worlds. Tell them to prepare for Total War Protocol. Lieutenant Park Ji-won looked confused. Ma'am, Total War Protocol? But that's only for threats to human survival? Lieutenant, they didn't attack our military. They didn't attack our government. They attacked our families. They killed our children. Choi Soo-jin's voice was calm, but there was something cold and terrible in it. That makes this about survival. It's not just our survival, the survival of every human being in the galaxy. Ours. The message went out to every human settlement in space. On Mars, factory manager Oh Seung-min read the orders and immediately began converting civilian manufacturing plants to military production. The same factories that had been making farming equipment and household goods started making weapons and armor on Proxima Centauri. Colonial Administrator Dr. Nam Gi-woo watched as her peaceful farming colony transformed overnight. The settlers put down their tools and picked up weapons. Children were moved to underground shelters while adults began building defenses. It's like someone flipped a switch, Dr. Nam told her assistant. Yesterday, these people were worried about crop yields and weather patterns. Today, they're talking about weapon specifications and military tactics. What do you think will happen? Her assistant asked. Dr. Nam looked out the window at colonists working together to build gun emplacements. I think the aliens made a very big mistake. They think they know what humans are like. They think we're just another species that will back down when threatened. In Earth's oceans, submarine crews received new orders. Instead of exploring the deep sea, they began converting their vessels for space travel. The same submarines that had been studying whale songs and mapping ocean floors were being fitted with weapons and armor. On Luna, the moon bases that had been mining helium-3 for Earth's power plants switched to mining rare metals for starship construction. Mining Engineer Bay? Junho watched as automated systems that had been running for decades suddenly changed their programming. In my grandfather's time, they built factories like this during the World Wars, he told his crew. Civilian production stopped overnight. Everything became about winning the war. This is different, though, said one of his workers. This isn't about territory or politics. This is about revenge. Bae Jun-ho shook his head. No, it's not about revenge. Revenge is emotional. This is about something else entirely. The galaxy began to notice changes in human behavior. Human ships stopped appearing in neutral space. Trade convoys ceased their regular routes. Diplomatic missions went silent. From the outside, it looked like humanity had accepted defeat and withdrawn. To their own small corner of space, the aliens were pleased. The primitive species had learned their place. They were wrong. In secret facilities across human space, scientists worked around the clock to understand alien technology. Every piece of wreckage from the battle at the apex was studied, analyzed, and improved upon. The aliens had superior weapons and shields, but they had made one critical error. They had left evidence behind. Commander Kim Tae-ho, the sole survivor of the apex attack, worked with the scientists. Their weapons use a type of energy we've never seen before, he explained to a room full of researchers. But energy follows the same physical laws everywhere in the universe. If we can understand how it works, we can learn to defend against it, maybe even use it ourselves. Dr. Lee Min-ho, Earth's top physicist, smiled grimly. The aliens think they're advanced because they've had this technology for thousands of years, but they've stopped innovating. They've stopped learning. We haven't. Across human space, a change was taking place. Not the loud, angry change the aliens expected, but something quiet and deadly. Humanity was learning. Humanity was preparing. And most importantly, humanity was uniting around a single, simple goal. The aliens had killed their families. It could not be allowed to stand. 8 months after the Apex massacre, Confederation Admiral Zethkar received a report that made his blood run cold. 3 supply convoys had vanished in the past week, not destroyed in battle, simply gone, as if they had never existed. "Show me the locations," he ordered his aide. The star map displayed the missing convoys' last known positions. All 3 had been in supposedly safe space, far from human territory. Each convoy had been heavily armed with escort ships that could handle most threats in the galaxy. "Sir, there were no distress signals," reported his aide. "No signs of battle. The ships just stopped transmitting and disappeared." Admiral Zethkar studied the map. Missing convoys formed a rough triangle around Confederation space. It was almost as if something was hunting them, picking off isolated targets one by one. "Double the escorts on all supply runs," he ordered. "And I want patrol ships checking every sector where we've lost contact." 2 days later, Captain Song Hae-jin watched the Confederation patrol ship through her ship's sensors. The Bizon's Revenge hung in space like a shadow, invisible to the alien vessel's scanners. Human technology had improved dramatically in the past few months, combining captured Confederation equipment with human innovations. "Target is alone," whispered Tactical Officer Bae Jun-ho. "Their escort ships are 3 light minutes away." Song Hae-jin smiled coldly. The aliens had made the mistake of spreading their forces too thin, trying to protect too many places at once. They didn't understand that humans had learned to hunt in packs, striking quickly and vanishing before help could arrive. "Begin the attack," she ordered. The battle lasted exactly 14 minutes. The Confederation ship's weapons couldn't hit what they couldn't see, and their shields couldn't stop weapons they didn't understand. When it was over, the alien crew found themselves prisoners aboard a human vessel that shouldn't have been able to exist. Lieutenant Lo Seung-min entered the holding area where the captured aliens waited. He spoke to them in perfect Confederation standard, a language that humans had supposedly never heard before. "I am Lieutenant Colonel Oh Seung-min of the Earth Defense Force," he said calmly. "I have some questions for you." The alien captain, a tall creature with silver skin and multiple eyes, tried to maintain his dignity. "I am Captain Vexton of the Confederation Navy. I demand to be treated according to the laws of war." "Oh," Seung-min sat down across from the alien. "Captain Vexton, age 47 standard years, born on the colony world of Kethra Prime. You have 2 offspring and a mate named Yolandra. Your favorite food is fermented kelp from your homeworld's northern seas. You fear deep water because you nearly drowned as a child. The alien captain's eyes widened in shock. Do you know these things? Because we've been studying you. Oh, Sung-min replied. Every transmission your people have ever sent, every ship we've captured, every piece of technology we've analyzed. We know more about your species than you probably know about yourselves. Over the next several hours, Sung-min asked very specific questions about Confederation fleet movements, supply routes, and military planning. The alien crew soon realized that the humans already knew most of the answers. They weren't interrogating prisoners, they were confirming intelligence they had already gathered. Why are you doing this, Captain? Vexen finally asked. The Confederation Council is willing to negotiate. If we can reach an agreement that benefits both our peoples. Sung-min leaned back in his chair. Captain, 8 months ago, your people murdered 65,000 of our civilians. Families, children, people who had never hurt anyone. We're just trying to build new lives on distant worlds. That was a military action, the alien protested. Your ships violated restricted space. No, Captain, that was murder. And murder demands justice, not negotiation. Across Confederation space, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships appeared, where they shouldn't be able to go, struck with weapons that shouldn't exist, and vanished before Confederation forces could respond. But the humans weren't just attacking randomly, they were learning. Every captured alien was questioned by experts, who spoke their language, knew their culture, and understood their psychology. Every piece of technology was studied, improved, and incorporated into human designs. Every battle taught the humans something new about their enemies. Major Park Dong-hyun led a boarding party onto a Confederation research station. The aliens had been studying human remains from the Apex battle, trying to understand human biology. They found the humans studying them instead. Interesting, Park Dong-hyun said, looking at the alien scientist's notes. You think our bone density makes us fragile? You think our simple nervous system makes us slow to react? You think our short lifespans make us desperate and foolish? The lead alien scientist, a creature that looked like a walking crystal formation, made a sound that might have been agreement. Park Dong-hyun smiled. You're right about one thing. Our short lifespans do make us desperate, but not for the reasons you think. We're desperate to make sure our children have a future. And you tried to take that away from us. The human boarding party moved through the station with perfect coordination, disabling security systems that had been designed to stop any known threat. The aliens had built their defenses to stop other aliens, not humans, who thought and fought differently than any species they had encountered. Within an hour, the research station was under human control. Its databanks were being copied, its equipment was being studied, and its personnel were being questioned. The aliens realized with growing horror that the humans weren't just winning battles, they were conducting a comprehensive analysis of Confederation civilization. The hunters had become the hunted, and the prey was learning faster than the predators could adapt. 2 years after the Apex massacre, the Confederation Council met in their grand chamber on the capital world of Nexus Prime, the room that once held representatives from dozens of proud species, now felt empty. Half the seats were vacant, their occupants either dead, missing, or no longer part of the Confederation. Counselor Vexthon stood at the center of the chamber, his silver skin pale with fear. The humans have taken the Kethra system, he announced. My homeworld surrendered without firing a shot. A murmur of shock ran through the remaining council members. Kethra Prime was one of the Confederation's most heavily defended worlds, protected by orbital weapons platforms and a fleet of warships that had never been defeated in battle. How? Is that possible? Demanded Counselor Yultar, her crystalline body flashing angry colors. The Kethra defense grid could stop any known attack. The humans didn't attack the grid, Vexen replied quietly. They simply turned it off. The chamber fell silent. Supreme Commander Zethkar stepped forward, his scaled face grim. Explain. They infiltrated our computer systems. Every defense, platform, every weapon, every ship, they all shut down at the same time. Then human vessels appeared in orbit, and a voice spoke to our planetary government in perfect Kethran.
They offered terms.
What terms? Asked Counselor Yultera.
Tulera, complete.
surrender, dissolution of all military forces, full cooperation with human occupation forces. In exchange, the civilian population would be unharmed, and the planet would be rebuilt under human protection. Another council member, Advisor Krellman, leaned forward and they accepted. They had no choice. The humans demonstrated their power by making every electronic device on the planet display the same message simultaneously. Every computer, every communication screen, every personal device. The message was simple. We can reach you anywhere, anytime. Choose wisely. General Park Dong-hyeon would have been pleased to know his psychological warfare tactics were working so well. From the bridge of the massive human dreadnought Earth's Answer, he watched as another Confederation world surrendered. Without a fight, sir, we're receiving a transmission from Vorthok Prime, reported Communications Officer Kwon Ming-jung. They want to discuss terms. Park Dong-hyeon smiled grimly. The Vorthok were gas giant dwellers, living in floating cities high in their world's atmosphere. They had thought their unique environment would protect them from human attack. They had been wrong. Tell them the same thing we told the others, he ordered. Conditional surrender. Or they can explain to their children why their sky cities are falling into the gas giant's core. The Vorthok had tested human resolve 3 days ago, refusing to surrender and launching their aerial defense fleets. It had taken the humans exactly 47 minutes to deploy atmospheric processors that made the upper atmosphere unbreathable for Vorthok physiology. The floating cities began falling toward the planet's deadly lower atmosphere and surrender. Came quickly after that. On the surface of Nexus Prime, Major Lim So-young led her Marine unit through the capital city's government district. The streets were strangely quiet, not empty, but filled with aliens who watched the human soldiers with fearful curiosity. "Ma'am, we're at the council building," reported Sergeant Kim Hae-won through her cum unit. "No resistance. The guards have abandoned their posts." Lim So-young wasn't surprised. Human intelligence had been working on Nexus Prime for months, learning about every security system, every defense mechanism, every possible way to reach the Confederation leadership. When the time came to act, there had been no barriers. The humans couldn't overcome. The Grand Council chamber was magnificent, with walls made of crystal that caught and reflected light from dozens of different suns. The remaining Confederation leaders sat in their seats, waiting. Counselors Major Lim So-young said as she entered, her powered armor making her look like a walking tank. "You are under arrest for crimes against humanity." Supreme Commander Zethkar stood up, his massive frame towering over the human soldier. "You cannot do this. We're the legitimate government of the Confederation. We have rights under galactic law. Galactic law." Lim So-young removed her helmet, revealing a young woman's face marked by 2 years of war. The same galactic law that protected 65,000 innocent civilians at the apex junction. She gestured, and images appeared in the air above the council chamber, holographic displays showing the faces of every human who had died in the massacre. Children, parents, grandparents, teachers, doctors, farmers, all of them smiling in photographs, taken before they left Earth for their new homes. These people had rights too, Lim So-young continued. The right to live, the right to travel freely through space, the right to build new homes for their families. It took those rights away with weapons fire. Counselor Vexen stepped forward. "We offer full reparations. We will pay any price, make any concession. Surely we can find a peaceful solution." Peace. Lim So-young looked around the chamber at the alien leaders who had once ruled most of the galaxy. "You had your chance for peace. You could have talked to us when we first tried to make contact. You could have explained your laws, worked out agreements, found compromise. Instead, you chose violence." The chamber's crystal walls began displaying new images, human colonies being built on former Confederation worlds, alien species working alongside humans to rebuild damaged civilizations, schools where alien children learned alongside human children. "This is what happens now," Lim So-young announced. "Confederation is ended. Your warships will be scrapped. Your weapons will be destroyed. Your member species can choose to join the new galactic community we're building, or they can remain isolated in their home systems. but they will never again have the power to murder innocent families just for existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. The former rulers of the galaxy sat in stunned silence as they realized their age was over. The humans had won not just through superior technology or military tactics, but through something the Confederation had never possessed: absolute moral certainty that they were fighting for something worth any sacrifice. 5 years after the Apex Massacre, Ambassador Han Yuzhen walked through the halls of what had once been the Confederation Council building. The ancient structure on Nexus Prime had been transformed from a symbol of alien dominance into something entirely new, the headquarters of the Galactic Protection Alliance. The changes were everywhere. Where once only the most advanced species had been allowed to speak, now representatives from 47 different worlds sat as equals. The seating arrangement was alphabetical, not based on military power or technological superiority. Humans occupied exactly 2 seats, the same as every other member species. The vote is unanimous, Han Yujin announced from the speaker's podium. The Civilian Protection Act is now galactic law. Any attack on non-military populations will result in immediate collective response from all Alliance members. In the audience, former Admiral Zethkar worked quietly at his translation console. The alien who had once commanded fleets across the galaxy now helped species communicate with each other during council sessions. It was fitting punishment, not death or imprisonment, but useful service to the very beings he had once considered inferior. The humans had been very clever about justice. The former Confederation leaders weren't executed or locked away. Instead, they were given jobs that forced them to help build the new galaxy they had tried to prevent. Zethkar translated languages. Counselor Vexton managed refugee resettlement programs. Each day, they had to see how much better the galaxy worked when species cooperated instead of competed. Captain Lee Minho commanded the patrol ship New Hope as it traveled through the Kepler sector. His crew was mixed: humans, former Confederation species, and newly contacted civilizations all working together. His grandfather had been Captain Lee Wan, who died in the original Apex attack. The family resemblance was strong, but this Lee had grown up in a very different galaxy. "Sir, we're receiving a distress signal," reported Ensign Park G1 from the communications station. She was young, barely 20, and spoke 4 different alien languages fluently. "Looks like raiders attacking a medical convoy in the Tau." SETI system. Lee Minho stood up from his captain's chair. "Set course for Tau. SETI, maximum speed. Send a message to the raiders." "What should I tell them, sir?" "Tell them this is Captain Lee Minho of the Galactic Protection Force. They have 30 seconds to stop their attack and surrender, or we will make this personal." The message went out across space. On the raider ships, hardened criminals who had been fighting and stealing across the galaxy for decades immediately powered down their weapons and requested safe passage away from the convoy. The phrase "make this personal" had become legendary throughout the galaxy. Everyone knew what it meant. Everyone knew what happened when humans took something personally. The raiders had heard the stories, seen the ruins of Confederation worlds, met former soldiers who whispered about the terrible efficiency of human warfare. They wanted no part of it. Dr. Nam Gu walked through the rebuilt city on Proxima Centauri, watching children play in parks that had once been military bunkers. Human children ran alongside young Catharians, their silver skin gleaming in the sunlight. Crystalline Yiltaran youngsters played games with kids from a dozen different worlds. "It's hard to believe this is the same place," said her assistant, pointing to where a weapons factory had once stood. There was a school where children learned about different worlds, different cultures, different ways of thinking. "The weapons factories are still there," Dr. Nam replied. "We just moved them underground, out of sight, but ready if we need them again." Her assistant looked surprised. "You think we might need them?" "There are still species out there who haven't learned the lesson yet. Pirates, raiders, would-be conquerors who think they can take what isn't theirs. When they test us, we need to be ready to remind them why that's a bad idea." The reminder came sooner than expected. A group of Outer Rim warlords had been watching the new galactic order with suspicion. They decided to test human resolve by attacking a peaceful colony world that had recently joined the Alliance. Commander Kim Tae-ho, the same officer who had survived the original Apex attack, received the emergency call at his command post. He was older now, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes, but his voice was as steady as ever. All units, this is command. We have confirmed attacks on Alliance civilians. Operation Personal Response is now active, across human space. In Allied worlds, the response was immediate. Ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers revealed themselves as warships. Space stations that looked like peaceful research facilities opened hidden weapon ports. The military might that had crushed the Confederation hadn't disappeared. It had simply been waiting quietly. The Outer Rim warlords lasted 6 days. When it was over, the galaxy received a gentle reminder of why the new peace had lasted so long. A message appeared on every communication screen in every language, throughout known space. The Galactic Protection Alliance exists to ensure the safety and freedom of all peaceful species. We do not conquer. We do not impose our will on others. We ask only that you extend the same courtesy to your neighbors. Those who choose to target innocent civilians, to attack the helpless, or to spread fear and suffering will discover that humanity has not forgotten how to make things personal. Choose wisely. The message was signed not by any government or military commander, but simply the people of Earth in memory of the 65,000. The galaxy remained peaceful. People built homes, raised families, explored new worlds, and reached for the stars. And somewhere in the darkness between worlds, human ships kept watch, making sure that no one would ever again pay the price that 65,000 innocents had paid at the Apex Junction. The new order had begun, and it would endure.